Imagine being put in a situation where a powerful party has forced your whole country to rid of your leader, beliefs, and ways of life. How do you think you would react? Would you fight back violently? Or would you reflect on the issue and protest peacefully for what is right? Though difficult to believe one could contain themselves in this situation, Lama Thandep, the 14th Dalai Lama, did just that. For the majority of his life, he has worked towards freeing his home country Tibet from the control and abuse of the Chinese Communist government. A Dalai Lama is believed to be the bodhisattva of compassion. A bodhisattva is able to reach a place of peace, or the nirvana, but stays on earth to help humanity in its hard times. The 14th Dalai Lama has, by belief, stayed on earth to help spread awareness of China's occupation of Tibet, which has gone on for 67 years now. Up until the year 1949, Tibet was an independent nation. With their own language, culture, and religious beliefs, they consider themselves to be a self-ruling country. China, on the other hand, did not believe so. From the years 1270 to 1354, the Yuan dynasty of China ruled Tibet. Thus, the Chinese government believed that Tibet would forever be a part of China. Here is where the issue arises. Tibet has significantly different beliefs than China. In fact, Tibet has more in common with India than it has with China. The Chinese government felt threatened by this and felt the need to invade to assure that Chinese beliefs were to be adopted by Tibetans.
In 1950, the People's Liberation Army, which is the military of the Chinese Communist Party, invaded Tibet. The Tibetans were frightened of this intrusion, but the 17-point agreement that China presented gave the illusion that Tibetans would be able to coexist with the Chinese, thus being the reason that the Dalai Lama agreed to it. The 17-point agreement promised Tibetan people regional autonomy and respect for Buddhism as a religion. In return, the Chinese would be able to set up civilian and military headquarters in Tibet. In reality, China violated the agreement. They colonized Tibet and ruled every aspect of their lives. In order to prevent Tibetans from pushing their culture onto a new generation, the Chinese forced many women to have abortions and be sterilized. They also took control of Tibetan land and gave them no liberty to make their own decisions. 80% of the forests in Tibet were cut down for lumber and turned into a dumping ground for Chinese nuclear and toxic waste. The injustice Tibetans faced violated Articles 6, 7, and 18 in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 6 states that all people have a right to recognition before the law. Article 7 gives all people right to equality before the law. Lastly, and most importantly, Article 18 gives people freedom to their beliefs and religion. China has ignored these rights and made it virtually impossible for Tibetans to live freely.
To assist these issues, the Dalai Lama has traveled around the world campaigning for Tibet and teaching others about peace and Buddhist ideals. In 1987, he proposed a 5-point peace plan in the hopes of bettering Tibetan lands and diminishing the inhumane actions toward Tibetans. The plan was made in hopes of doing the following: to turn Tibet into a land of peace, abandon China's population transfer policy, respect fundamental human rights of Tibetans, protect Tibet's environment, and conclude negotiations between China and Tibet. Although this plan was not a success, the Dalai Lama continues to travel and advocate for Tibet.
Today, Tibet is still under the control of China. The Chinese government has become more and more intolerant of the peaceful protest conducted in Tibet. They have taken measures against Tibetan families and local communities by fining, incarcerating, and even beating them for protesting. For these reasons, over 100,000 people are still in exile with the Dalai Lama in India, where they can worship freely. Despite the efforts of the Chinese to silence the Tibetans and the Dalai Lama, advocacy for Tibet has spread across the world. Now, people worldwide non-violently protest for the freedom of Tibet. Aside from providing help and hope to the Tibetan people, the 14th Dalai Lama can serve as a role model for everyone, especially young people. He preaches selflessness, compassion, and standing up against injustices around the world. His actions and words stand as an example that caring for others gives people a sense of purpose in life. He inspires young adults to be charitable to those in need and to stand up for what they believe in a peaceful manner. With this inspiration from the 14th Dalai Lama, young people today are able to create a positive environment which benefits societies around the world.